Hi everyone, it's Nadia from YARNutopia. Today we are making these adorable baby booties. I actually have the same pair made in a solid color. As you can see here is another pair. These are so simple and so easy, and they're worked flat, and then we sew them in a way to make them in the booty design. It is so simple. I cannot wait to make this with you. So I'll get into the supplies you're going to need, and then I'm going to get into making these. Now these are for a newborn baby, okay, so 0 to 3 months. You can see they are quite stretchy in both of the types of yarn that I use. So this will fit a 0 to 3 month old baby, okay? But you can use a bigger hook if you need to make it bigger. So the supplies. Big thank you to Red Heart Yarns for providing this yarn today. This is Red Heart Chic Sheep yarn by Marley Bird. This is 100% wool yarn, so if you are worried about like a allergic reaction and babies not having, it's not good for babies, put socks on your baby and then put these booties on, or you can find a cotton equivalent to this type of yarn. If you go to yarnsub.com and type in Red Heart Chic Sheep, yarns that are similar to this yarn weight should pop up, and you can use any one of those brands. So this yarn color I'm using today is called VIP. And then the secondary color, which if you are using two colors, I used this Hirschner's yarn I found in my stash. I got it on sale. They usually have like warehouse sales, which is super fabulous. So I got this baby yarn, Hirschner's solid yarn, a long time ago, and I found it in my stash, and I was like, oh, I'm having a baby boy. I want to use this baby blue yarn in this tutorial today. So I bought this a long time ago. But yeah, Red Heart Yarns provided this yarn today, so big thank you to them. Also in the pink yarn, you can see here, I made this for my niece coming up in soon. She's coming. She is, yeah, her pinks are so pretty here. This is actually a more yarn, and I don't know if I have a skein of yarn near me. I don't, I'm sorry. But this yarn is super duper soft. It's called Amore. I will put a link for this one as well, but this one is just a solid color, so we're not changing color in this one. But the one I'm just demonstrating today in this tutorial, I am using two colors, but if you don't want to change color, you don't have to. But I do demonstrate how to change color if you are interested in doing that. And then I added a palm to these ones, but these ones you don't have a palm with, and you don't have to have. That's optional. We are using an F-sized hook today. This is 3.75 millimeters. This hook is from the Etsy shop Would Be Fancy. It's ergonomic, hand-carved, wooden-handled hook. It is so fabulous, so wonderful, and they sell out really fast, so you should check it out. It's at the Etsy shop Would Be Fancy. I'll link it in the description of this video or in the materials section on the blog. And like I said earlier, if you want to make these a little bigger, just use a G hook, which is 4 millimeters. You can use a G hook as well. And then you're going to need a scissors and a yarn needle, because we will be cutting our yarn and sewing things together and sewing things on and things like that. So those are all the supplies you're going to need. Now these booties, like I said, are made for a newborn to 3 month old. These are 4 inches in sole. Okay, so that is how big they are. 4 inches is about 11 centimeters. Okay, so I guess 10 centimeters. So that's how big those little booties are. Little baby feet are so tiny. So that's all the supplies. So check out all the links in the description of this video. I'll have a link to all the supplies you're going to need today, as well as links to my Facebook, my Instagram, my website, my Snapchat username, YARNutopia. Make sure you follow me there and see behind the scenes clips of what we do at YARNutopia headquarters, and see some baby updates, because we're super excited in our family now to know we're having a boy, and I'm having a niece coming, and they're gonna match with their little booties. I'm so excited. So alright, let's get started and make these simple baby booties. Alright, I'm going to start off with the main color, and we're going to use VIP in the Marley Bird's Chic Sheep yarn. So let's start off with a slip knot. So put your short end over your long end, then fold this down, and then pull this through and pull tight, and insert your crochet hook, and we can begin. So we're going to start off by chaining 21. So yarn over and pull through 1, 2, 3. I won't make you watch me chain 21, so just do that and I'll come right back. Alright, so I chained 21. Your chain should measure about 4.5 to 5 inches. So I measured this out and it's about 4.5 inches, which is about 11.5 centimeters. Okay, so that's how long your chain should be. Now we are going to half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. So yarn over. What I like to do is turn my chain towards me like this and work in those back ridges of the chain. And instead of this first one here, we're going to work in the second one right here. Yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And that's a half double crochet. Yarn over, go into the next chain. We're just going to do this in each chain across. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Yarn over, go into the next chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. So just do that all the way across. You'll have 20 half double crochets at the end of this row. I'll come back and we'll go on to row 2. Alright, I just half double crocheted across, so this is what your piece should look like right here. So now we're going to go on to row 2. We are going to, and row 2 is actually a repeat row, so we're going to chain up 1, turn our work around, and instead of working in the stitch, I'm going to pull this out real quick so you can see with my needle. I'm going to show you here. Instead of working into each stitch like this, okay, each stitch, each stitch, each stitch, or both loops, I guess, front and back loop there. You can see, if you look at it this way, you can see there's a loop that's horizontal right here. Okay, right here on each stitch, there's this loop. We are going to work into that loop, which is considered the 3rd loop of the half double crochet. This 3rd loop right here. So it's kind of horizontal, slanted. It's not this diagonal one here. I don't know if you can really even see those. If I stretch this, you will. But there's a, let me stretch this out here. There's a diagonal one here that we are not working in. But if you stretch this and see there's a horizontal one right here, that's the one we're going to be working in. Okay, so that's considered the 3rd loop of the half double crochet. And that's what we're going to work in for the rest of this part here, the back of the booty here. So what I'm going to do here, let me get my yarn, there we go. Okay, so we're going to yarn over, we're going to half double crochet into each of the 3rd loop. So right here is the first one right here. So this 3rd loop of this first stitch right here, go up into it, yarn over and pull it down through there, then yarn over and pull through all 3 of your loops. Okay, yarn over, go into the 3rd loop of this very next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And just keep doing that all the way across. Okay, so I'm going to do that and then I will come back for row 3. Alright, I'm just half double crocheting in my last stitch, that 3rd loop there. So now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work around, and as you can see, working in that 3rd loop has created this ribbed line right there. It looks almost knit. It looks really cool. So that's what we're going to do for the rest of this part. So rows 3 through 12 are a repeat of row 2. So just chain 1, turn your work, and work in the 3rd loop of the half double crochet stitches and just half double crochet across. And we are going to do this until we finish row 12. And once we finish row 12, we'll be able to fasten this part off and go on to the next part. Alright, I just finished row 12 here. As you can see, there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 rows, and I am going to fasten off now. So I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to cut my yarn long because I do want to sew the cuff down later. If you don't want to sew the cuff down, you can cut your yarn short, but regardless, pull it through the chain 1 there and pull tight. So this is going to be the top cuff, and it's going to come down, folded down like this. And actually, let's see here. Yep, it's going to be folded down like this. And then I'm going to sew across this line later. But next what we're going to do is make the front of the bootie. I know it doesn't look like a bootie yet, but it will be. So for the right boot or left boot, whichever one, you're going to start on this corner here where this straggler is. You're going to crochet 10 stitches evenly up these 6 rows. Okay, so half the size here. You're going to single crochet up to halfway point from this corner. For the other side, so let's say this is your right bootie, we are going to crochet from the corner up here to the row 6 up here, okay? For the left bootie, we're going to go on this side and single crochet the opposite side. We're going to start at row 6 and single crochet 10 stitches evenly down to row 1 down here, okay? So I'm going to show you this side because I'm going to single crochet over the top of this straggler and that will be sewn in, and I wanted to show you that. But for the other side, you can just attach your yarn here, right where row 6 is, okay, and then single crochet your stitches evenly down there. But for this side, I'm going to show you. We're going to attach our yarn in the corner here, and we're going to start with our main color. So we're going to hook this on and pull it through, okay, the main color. Or if you're making this solid, just use your main color throughout. But chain 1 here and single crochet in that same spot, okay. Then what we're going to do is single crochet 10 stitches total. So that was 1, so we need 9 more stitches up until we hit row 6. So really wherever your hook fits is where you should single crochet. So I'm going to single crochet right here. This is 2. Okay. Oh, and I didn't single crochet over that. I'll have to sew that in later. But I'm single crocheting over the top of this strand here. Here's 3, 4, 5, 6. I have to do 4 more stitches here. 7, 8, 9, and 10. And that should be right at the top of row 6 here. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, it's 10 stitches all the way up to halfway, and that's what we're going to do. Now, at the end of your row here, at row 10 or at stitch number 10 here, what we're going to actually do is change color. If you don't want to change color, ignore this part, just make your stitch and go on to the next row. But what I'm going to do, instead of finishing this last stitch, you can see I took it apart. We have 2 loops on the hook. I'm going to bring this color forward, pinch it down with my thumb, grab my new yarn, which I'm going to use this light blue here, and we're going to stripe this. We're going to pull it through those 2 loops there, and then I'm going to take my old yarn and put it over the top of these strands here, like this, and pull it to the opposite side, to the back, okay, and then we're going to take our blue yarn here and chain 1, okay, that way it's attached and our blue yarn is in front here, okay. I'm actually going to cut this little strand here because this is in my way. Okay, so what we're going to do now is single crochet over the top of our old color, so we're going to come back to this side and we're going to change color back to our main color, okay? And we're going to work in the back loops only. So what I'm going to do is work over the top of this strand, and the back loops only. If you look at your work like this, you can see our stitches. We usually go through both loops, both loops, both loops here. The loop that's furthest away from you right here, this is considered the back loop. Okay, that's the only stitch we're going to be, or the only loop we're going to be working in. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to work over the top of our strand, this dark blue strand, in the back loop only. And I know that can be kind of tricky, but you'll make it work here. Go into this first stitch, back loop only, yarn over with the light blue. Oh, we want to make sure that our blue yarn, the strand, is in there. Okay, so we're underneath the strand and the back loop only. Yarn over with the light blue. Okay, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. And there is your first single crochet. So go into the next stitch, back loop only. Make sure you're going underneath this strand. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, and we're just single crocheting across in the back loops only, working over the top of the dark blue strand. Because when we're finished with this row, we're going to change back to the dark blue color. And I'm almost there, so you can just continue watching. And make sure you have the 10 stitches across. And when you're on your 10th stitch, yarn over, pull through, pull the light blue forward, hook on the old color here. This is the blue we were crocheting across. It's underneath these stitches. So we're going to yarn over with that and pull it through. And you can see that I stretched this out like that so that it's not going to be too bunched up and tight. So you want to make sure you have room for stretch. And I pulled through with the new color, and then we're going to take the light blue and move it to the back, and then we're going to chain 1 with the new color. And then turn our work around, and now we can work over the top of this light blue. And we're just going to repeat row 2 until we have 21 rows total. So work over the top of the strand and into the back. I know it's really hard to see that. Into the back loop only, and single crochet across. So back loop only. Always make sure you're working over that strand of yarn. Okay, because we'll pick that back up then at the end of this row, and I'll do this row as well so you can see me turn back to the light blue as well. But then we're just repeating these 2 rows, just alternating the 2 colors, working in the back loop only, working over the top of our old color. It's super simple once you get the hang of it. Okay, so now I'm going to change color again. So I'm going to pull this dark blue forward, hook on this new color, pull it through, pull the dark blue to the back, and then chain 1 with the new color, turn it around, okay, and we are going to work the same stitch. Single crochet in the back loop only, over the top of the old color. And do that until you have 21 rows. Once you have 21 rows, I will come back and show you the next step. So your last row should be your main color here, and I crocheted over the top of this light blue color, so I'm just going to trim that short because it's already sewn in. And we are going to chain 1 and cut this kind of long for sewing and pull it through that chain 1 and pull tight. So I have my 21 rows here, so this is what your piece should look like right now. I know I have a few ends to sew in at this point, but what we're going to do now, if you started where I started right down here in this corner and worked my way up, and your piece looks like this, this is the outside, okay? So if you started on this side and worked your way down, again, this would be your outside where the light blue is more prominent. If you turn this over, the dark blue is more prominent, but we want the light blue to be more prominent. And obviously, if you did this in a solid color, that doesn't matter. So what we're going to do now, it looks like this. We are going to flip it to inside out basically. We're going to flip this over to this opposite side, okay? So if this flap is on this side, you're going to flip it to this side. So meet this edge with the empty edge, okay? And we're going to take this long strand that we just cut, and we are going to use our yarn needle, and we're going to sew this evenly in the 6 rows on this side, okay? So I'm just going to whip stitch this. Okay, So whip stitch is just going from one side to the other side, just the same direction, just whipping it around and around, just like that. And we're just doing these top 6 rows here in each stitch, connecting this. Super simple. So we're done with the crocheting part. Now we just have to sew this to make it look like a bootie. So I'm just sewing this part down here. And at this point right here, we are going to fasten this off. So I'm just going to grab this through this loop here, keep my finger in this loop, then come back through this loop, and then pull tight. Okay, and I lost my needle here. You want to do that once or twice. Okay, so I'll show you again with my needle on my hook, or on my yarn here. Go through, keep your finger in the loop, pull this through the loop, and then pull tight. And then we're going to sew in this end, just hide it behind some of these stitches. And then just cut that. Okay. And then I have this end and this end to sew in, and once I sew those ends in, I will come back and show you the next step. Alright, at this point, this is what your piece should look like. It's inside out right now, okay? So what we want to do at this point is cinch the top up here, the top that has this longer piece up here. This is the top of your bootie. So what we're going to do is cinch along this edge, and I'm going to use this Chic sheep yarn. You can use the lighter blue color, but I'm just going to use this one, and it doesn't matter which color you use really. So what I'm going to do is take some from the ball of yarn. I'm just going to grab a strand. I can actually cut this strand short, or a long strand, but cut the strand. And then what we're going to do is, this is inside out. We are going to start from one end and work our way to the other end, and we're just going to weave this in and out along this top edge of this bootie right here. So one end to the other. Just weave this in and out, pull, and weave it in and out. Okay, and once you get to the other side, I'm almost there, so you can just keep watching. Okay, so once you get to this side here, we want to fasten this side off. So we're going to go around a couple of the stitches, and just like I showed you how to fasten that other piece off, we're just going to keep our finger in the loop, come back through the loop, and pull tight. And again, you can do that once or twice or 3 times. It's totally up to you how you feel comfortable if you don't want it to unravel. Okay, and then we're going to sew this end in on this side. And cut short. Stretch it out, make sure it's hidden. Now the other side, we still have this strand here. I'm actually going to cut it a little shorter because I don't need all that yarn. And what we're going to do is yarn this with our needle here. And this is the fun part. We're going to cinch it. So just pull this all together. Pull, pull, and you can see it starting to cinch closed. Okay, but don't pull too tight, your yarn could break. So just line it up on each side, just like this. Okay, and pull as tight as you can. Then we're going to come to the other side here and make a few loops, kind of like whip stitching the top of the shoe. Okay, so I'm coming on this side to this side, whip stitching, and just closing the top of the shoe. Okay, now keep in mind this is inside out, so you won't see this, and if you feel comfortable, you can flip this like this, and see the top of that booty is gonna look so good. You won't even be able to tell that you're sewing it closed. How cool is that? So we're gonna come again here and we're gonna fasten this off. So I'm gonna come through, keep my finger in the loop there, come back through the loop, and pull tight. And I'm going to do that a couple of times just to secure that. Okay, and then I'm going to sew this end in underneath a bunch of these stitches. Okay, then cut that short. And now we're going to, it's still inside out, okay? We're going to line this side up with this side here, and we're going to sew across here. So let me grab another strand of yarn from my ball of yarn, and we are going to whip stitch the bottom closed. Okay, so line this side up with this side right here. Okay, I'm going to start at the toe. And if you want to match up your colors, match them up, match them up. Alright, perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to whip stitch again. Just around and around. And now this is the bottom sole of the booty. This is the bottom of the booty. And it's going to be a miracle because it's going to actually sit flat. And you are going to be so surprised, because I was so surprised when I first did this, and I was like, dude, this is so cool and this is so easy, and you can make so many of these in different colors, and it's just like the easiest type of booty there is. So I'm going to sew this all the way across, and then when I'm finished, I'll show you how to fasten this part off, and we'll basically be done. Alright, so I have one little tip for the front and the back here. You can see it kind of points out if that problem happens to you on this side or this side. What I ended up doing was taking my needle and going from this very end here and taking my needle and going into about 4 or 5 stitches inward and then pulling, and that kind of eliminates the pointiness. And then I went back around a couple of times just to make sure that that pointiness was eliminated. So that's a cute little trick that you can do to make the front toe and the back more rounded. And then as you can see, I'm fastening this off like I did earlier, just going through the loop and pulling like that a couple of times, and then sewing this end in. And I did the same thing for the front toe part as well. I cut the yarn from the ball of yarn and just tied a knot at the front of the toe as well. Okay, so do that for both ends, and then cut this strand short, and then we're going to flip this inside out, or right side out, sorry, and make sure to kind of stretch it a little bit, and look at that. How cool is that concept? Now this cuff here, you can have it up and that's super cute, but I'm going to cuff this over like this, and I'm going to sew it down, like tack it down. So last step here, I'm just going to yarn my needle with that long strand I cut earlier, and we're just going to go in and out just a few of the stitches. But look at that, it's like a sole, like a bottom sole here, and it really sits flat and stands up. Oh, and there's one last little detail that I wanted to add. Now that's optional, but you can add a pom to the front of your booty. So I'm going to show you that next. I'm just going to sew this to the booty here, as you can see, and then we're going to tie this off, go to the inside, just like that, and then tie this in a knot and fasten this off like I've been doing. So I'm going to fasten this off, and then I'm going to make a pom next. Alright, so I just sewed that down, and this is what the booty looks like, and you can see it stands up So cute. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I want to make a pom here because I did kind of see this looks a little messy for me, so I'm going to make a little pom to cover that. So I grabbed this light blue yarn that I used in this strand here, and my pom is super duper simple. So what I'm going to do is take my 3 fingers here. This pom is going to be so tiny. So I'm going to take my 3 fingers and just wrap about 20 to 30 times. However big, I guess, however thick you want your pom to be, that's more than 30 times. Okay. Then I'm going to cut this up top here. Okay, so I pinched it all together. And what I'm going to do is remove my middle finger from here and just have my 2 fingers inside. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is go in from this side around to this side. I'm going to slide this on my fingers. There we go. Okay. So I wrap this strand around everything right there, and then we're going to cut this yarn. And we're going to tie this in a knot. And if you have an extra hand, it's easy to do, or you can use your mouth, which is something I probably would do. Sorry, I used my mouth. So I'm pinching one side and pulling with the other side, and we're just going to tie this in a knot, and you can actually switch sides here. Whoops. So you want to tie it really tight and then go around to the other side. And if you have a pom maker, a mini pom maker, this would be a lot easier. But I don't, and I didn't want to make cardboard or like a different cutout one, so I just use my fingers. But they're really cute when they're finished. It's just that now that I'm doing it on camera, it's a little finicky, of course. There we go. That's tighter. And one more tie around will make it even tighter. Okay, perfect. Now, as we have it knotted, sorry, I'm using my mouth again. Okay, so we're going to cut along this edge. Now be super careful not to stab yourself. I don't recommend this, but it's pretty easy if you're safe with your scissors. Okay, and then do the other side. Okay. Then grab your 2 long strands and kind of give this little pom a haircut. What I like to do is just kind of pull this pom, all the pieces up like this, and just give it a trim. Okay, and then once you give it a little haircut, I'll come back and we'll attach it to our bootie. Alright, so I just attached it. I just took those 2 long strands. As you can see down here, I just put this one in and the other one in and then tied a knot. I don't even think I sewed in the ends though. I tied a knot on the inside here with the 2 strands. And then you can sew those ends in. I just tucked them in for the tutorial, but just sew those ends in and you have your bootie. So now all you have to do is just make another one exactly like this, just like that. But you can see how the stitches, how I told you when that piece was flat, that you make one on one side and then make one on the other side, because these single crochets, you want them to face each other. As you can see, the stitches are worked opposite, so you can see there's a left and a right foot, or you can have them this way, facing outwards. So I mean, that's basically why I said work, you know, up to the row 6 and down, or work from the corner and work your way up here on this side. Okay, so it's either on this side or on this side. So one or the other. So that's all. Those are the booties. Thank you so much for watching and learning how to make this cute little pair of baby booties. I cannot wait until my baby is born in June and I can put these on him. He's gonna look so cute in these. Oh my gosh, I'll take pictures when he's born in these booties. Alright, until next time everyone, happy hooking!